Okay, the second reading is Hebrews 12, 18 through 24.
I read it. A reading from the letter to the Hebrews. Brothers and sisters, you have not approached that which we could be touched in blazing fire, gloomy darkness, in storm, and a trumpet blast, and a voice speaking words such as those who heard beg that no message be further addressed to them. No, you have approached Mount Zion, in the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and countless angels in festal gatherings, in the assembly of the firstborn enrolled in heaven, and God the judge of all, and the spirits of the just made perfect, and Jesus, the mediator of new covenant, and the sprinkled blood that speaks more eloquently than that of Abel, the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. So Hebrews is a little more difficult letter. I don't know if you guys recognize that. And typically these would have been a lot of the, so I've read about, and I think it was Scott Hahn who was saying that there would have been a lot of the priests that left the Levite, they're still Levites, but they would have left the priesthood of the temple and they became Christians. And so, these are really kind of a higher up, and so he's addressing people in that group. And so he's talking about here, you have not approached that which could not be touched. So in the Old Testament, think about when in Mount Sinai there was terror when God was near. People were afraid. It was thunder and terror, and they were going to have distance, and they were afraid. And the Old Testament, it was addressed from the outside, but now we have the Holy Spirit dwelling within us. We're now temples of the Holy Spirit ourselves. We're a new creation. And think about, when you think about Pentecost, think about all the apostles, how they were prior to Pentecost. They were all hiding in the upper room, with the locked door and pretty much in terror. But as soon as Pentecost came, they were filled with the Holy Spirit. And Peter was out there, and 3,000 people became Christians that very day. And so it's kind of, there's a transformation, and we all have this same Holy Spirit dwelling within us. And I think that's where we may not realize that, but we should. God's Holy Spirit is dwelling within us. We're children of God, and, God's dwelling within us. If you just think about that and contemplate that, we have God dwelling. It is. It's completely amazing. And so we're not afraid, like in the Old Testament. And so he's bringing this imagery of Mount Sinai and what the Old Testament had. No, you have approached Mount Zion and the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, the countless angels. So heaven's having a party. It's just amazing. Now, Jesus came, he conquered sin and death, and he's sitting at the right hand of the Father as a mediator, and all of heaven is there and helping us too, praying for us and interceding for us. Jesus is so he just goes on to show the superiority of it. Part of it here too is that it says, the assembly of the firstborn enrolled in heaven. So once we're baptized, what happens? Our name is written in the book of life. Once we're baptized, your name is written in the book of life. And so live like it. I guess that's part of it. That's the first step. But we're enrolled there, and that's something we have to really think about. We have access here to this beautiful thing, but there's still justice, and so we can choose not God. We can choose not heaven. We can choose hell. And so that's we can love our sin more than we love God. I guess that's part of it. We're choosing not God. We're choosing our sinful life. We're choosing, everything for ourselves as opposed to God. Abel's blood cried out to heaven, but Jesus' blood cries out for mercy and reconciliation. He's trying to bring us, have mercy on us, and he's trying to have reconciliation between us and God, the Father. And there wasn't that access to heaven until Jesus opened the door again. And so when we break this down, you can see where he's trying to teach, Jews that were steeped in the Old Testament and show them the superiority of the new covenant over the old covenant. Because the old covenant didn't empower. Now we have the power with the Holy Spirit dwelling within us to actually live the commandments. I mean, it was impossible beforehand. Even Peter said that. And even now, is it possible? It's pretty difficult, right? I mean, the just man still falls 7 times a day. I mean, but we do have that ability, and we want to keep being, Jesus said, be perfect. And that actually is in the tense, be perfected. I mean, it's in a continual state of being perfected. We're a work in process. And so our sanctification is also a work in process. And so the Holy Spirit, he doesn't lay it all down on us, what's wrong with us at once. We'd probably die in terror. But he corrects us. He's constantly helping us and correcting us. And if you don't think you have any sins, ask the Holy Spirit to reveal some. He'll definitely do it. Or you can ask, good Christian friends to, help you go through it. Because some people just haven't been catechized right, where they don't. I know a lot of older people, they say, well, I don't sin. I'm like, Grandma, everybody sins. Do you want to go through the list? No, not right now. But we want to, that's the first part, is being humble enough to say, yeah, I make mistakes, I do sin. And I think if you think you don't sin, then maybe you don't understand what sins are. God bless you. And so St. Teresa of Avila, that was what she said. She said, I went for 40 years, and things that were mortal sins I thought were venial sins. And things that were venial sins I said weren't sins at all. And that destroyed me. She said, that destroyed me. And so when we think about that, this is a little nun in a cloister convent. She made no progress, and she didn't have a good confessor. And there are other, priests. I mean, I got in arguments with priests, and I'm like, no, that's a sin. You want to pull out the catechism? And I was like pulling it out, and I'm like, see, it says right here, this is a sin.
What turned her around? I mean, did she have like a Paul to Saul moment, or Saul to Paul moment? Or a holy person?
Yeah, there was a holy priest that kind of came into the picture. It was God that turned her around.
Was she a mystic?
Oh yeah, she became a great mystic afterwards. Yeah, she actually. So, her and St. John of the Cross would communicate, and she reformed. She reformed all of the nuns. So the reformed Francis and what's Clare, the reformed Clares. Yep. So she reformed it afterwards in a number of convents, and she started. But she had this. It wasn't until later in life she was like, I don't know, late 40s or 50, which. I mean, the average age was 33, so, she was, she would have been considered old, an old wise nun, but it was all that time that she went where she didn't have any progress, and she was just lukewarm in her faith. I mean, she considered lukewarm. I mean, I'm sure she prayed more than all of us here, but, she said the reason people don't become great saints is they don't desire it. So you have to desire, say, Lord, I want to be a saint. And if you don't want to be a saint, say, Lord, give me the desire to become a saint. I think that's where it starts. Lord, I need more desire to become a saint, because that's a grace too from God. And so when we realize that it's God that gives us the desire, God gives us the faith, God gives us, all the things that we need, but we have, He wants us to ask for it. Just like the little one here asks for things. I mean, that's we're called to ask too. We're just bigger kids in a lot of sense. So
She's gonna ask for a Bob and